Morning, everyone. Hello, all morning, 24th of January 2021. Yeah, sad news about Paul Proteus, or Richard. I only found out after I did that video, not the last one, but the recent one that's titled Freedom Sinks, and I quoted Paul at the start. It was right after I uploaded it. I got a message from Spetsnaz, I think it was, who sort of let me know that he'd passed about a month or so ago. So that was kind of strange. But yeah, I think my reaction was similar to most guys. Just a really, really good guy. A lot of people, even if they hadn't met him. So really sad news. I think WYSIWYG said it. He said he had the same emotions at Paul's passing. People it felt like they had a kinship with because they helped them find their voice, or they were just a friend. They were a really good person to kind of hang out with, and even though it wasn't an actual conversation, it was it felt like you hung out with a guy that kind of got it and has been through similar things as you have, and has seen things in a similar way that you have. No longer did you have to kind of suffer in silence and you couldn't talk about it. He was a guy that was just kind of honest and, didn't give a rat's, and he's just also friendly. He wasn't rude. He wasn't obnoxious. So it really felt awful. And it was a peculiar feeling because I never met the guy. So, but can't deny, and it's reflected by other people too. Anyway, let me know if you can't see me or hear me properly. It feels like and looks like on my levels that I am coming through properly. New microphone, so let me know if the one on the last stream sounded better than this one. It's really hot in Melbourne. Yesterday was low 30s, today is mid 30s, and tomorrow's no. Yesterday was mid 30s, today's high 30s. This is Celsius, and tomorrow is low 40s. I don't know what that's in Fahrenheit, but it's freaking high. I was born in the wrong country. I should have been born in a country with a colder climate. Whenever I think about traveling, I think about places like Iceland, Canada. I never think of vacations in hot places. It's hot enough here. If I want to get away, I want to get away somewhere cold. Yeah, BG said he started watching a backlog of Paul Proteus's work. Yeah, I watched a few of them last night as well, and it just kind of makes you feel worse. Like, man, I really wish I would have got in touch with him. I look back on when he popped into my live stream. I think it was the week before he passed away. So, man, that was a shame. Just like this mixture of I'm annoyed and upset, as well as really sad. It's kind of like nah, it's kind of someone else, not him. It's like a cruel joke. Anyway, okay, now someone says I look like Moby. Yeah, Brad says, human, you're on the wrong side of the planet. I agree. If it wasn't for my family, I think I would have moved a while ago. But all my family's here. Mr. Highway. I was just watching him talk about Brazilian fart, P-O-R-N-E, P-O-R-N, sorry. When you went live, he reminds me of Dave Chappelle without the punchlines. Yeah, he's just got a really, he had a really relaxed way of not giving a F about anything, but just not aggressive, not obnoxious, just so like a lot of fun. I can't say a bad thing about him. And the hard thing was that when you look at the tributes to him in his real life, the amount of people in his community that love the guy, he wasn't sort of a recluse, although he did choose to spend a lot of time playing video games online and all that kind of stuff that a lot of us enjoy. But he was really big socially. He was more extroverted. He was just a lot of fun. Like what we saw in the videos, it's kind of like ramp it up to 10, not in terms of a loudmouth, but in terms of an open, warm, social person. It's like every cafe knew him. He hung around everyone. I remember one of the tributes to him said that for him to go to his apartment downstairs and just to the store to pick up cigarettes or a paper, which would literally take him 1 minute, it took him an hour because he stopped along the way and talked to everybody. So, yeah, just really feel crappy. Not in selfishly like, I wanted to have a conversation or talk with him, but just that he shouldn't have left us. Great guy. Anyway. All right, remember guys, if you want to ask questions, make sure you highlight them with emojis somehow, make them stand out. Edson said, what made his content special? Look, maybe he's not for you, but just take a look at the link I provided under my video and just take a look at a couple of his channels. It was just a relaxed way you could hang out with the guy. That's all I can say. Maybe he's not your cup of tea, but for many of us guys, he was exactly what we needed. It was weird. He just felt like a friend the title of the video is like a friend I'd never met. And if I'd met him, I could almost guarantee he'd be the same person and I'd be able to get along with him. Hydrostatic, yeah. Toilet water does actually swirl in the other direction in the southern hemisphere. That's true. Yeah, postmodern gent said, first time someone I did not know passing hit me like that. Same with me. I felt really odd, like stupid. Why am I feeling like I lost a friend? I never knew the guy. Now I kind of oddly feel I want his channel to stay up so guys can still watch him and keep his memory alive and experience him a bit, and he could probably still help guys in that way even after his passing. But at the same time, there's ads on his videos. Where's that money going? You know, is Google going to keep it? That's a bit of an iffy thing. So I'm not quite sure how I feel about that. As long as if it goes to his family, great. Wet Pallet Warrior. Notice how men always offer to drive the car, but it's the woman who tells him where to go. Tells you a lot about how women make men think they are in control in a relationship. Yeah, there's always an element of control, what to do. You're not doing it right. They like to drive things. Like I'm always weary of women who love horses. I always say avoid horse chicks. Because the metaphor, basically, the metaphor there is they want a big, strong animal they can direct through life. And so, women that I've met and other guys have reflected it as well. It's such a cliche. Beware of horse women. Again, not all, but I've noticed the same kind of thing play out there. Same kind of thing as directing men with driving cars. Human, I think Austria or southern Germany would be the right place for you. It's tranquil, nice, cold in the winter, but not hot in the summer. Yeah. Somewhere mid to upper Europe, I'd say. Thanks, Alpha Dog Elite. Thanks for the super chat. Just wanted to say thanks for talking about Paul. Seemed like a great guy. Yeah, he was. He was an awesome guy. It's funny. I've talked to almost all the guys I wanted to, um, except for Barbarossa. Uh, but Paul was always my favorite, and I never got to talk to him. So just feel a bit shitty. We exchanged messages, and we were planning to, but I didn't want to push the guy because I always held back the fanboy with that guy because I really respected him. Eric said, by today's standards, you were in touch with him. Most people don't even know how to do a proper handshake anymore. That's true. Black Magic said, I liked how Paul's videos were so raw and unplanned. Well, I mean, when you find out about him, he played the saxophone, he was a jazz musician, he busked. So I think that riffing, he was really good with that. He was really talented. He was actually, I know why he kept his real name private, because in real life he's been in advertising. He's had his face on the saxophone, advertising beverages, and he was a real deal. Like, he was out there, he was known. So the way he riffed and how real he was, it reflected, I think, in his music ability and the way he connected with people. So he had that natural talent, and he was really good at what he did. Mouth Fred, do you own body armor? What do you mean? As in actual one? To prevent against being shot? No. Michael J, what's your end game? Same as Paul's. I don't know. I haven't got anything planned. Edson Dures, human, I didn't mean it like they just wanted your opinion. In terms of what I found special, pretty much the stuff I said in my video. Just felt like a friend when you needed him and someone you wanted to meet. He was the only person I really wanted to sort of connect with. All the rest of the guys, like, full respect. Like, I wanted to meet them too, but he was a person I felt I'm most comfortable with if I ever had met him. Because by the way he described himself, his relaxed attitude, just his realness. He was a lot more real and open in his videos. It gave you a lot of trust in terms of, like, if you ever met or talked with him, he'd be exactly the same. Whereas there are some guys you can tell, although I respect them, they've got a certain personality. You've got to speak to them within certain boundaries, and that's fine. Everyone's got their own attitudes. There are other people you're more relaxed with, less relaxed with. Like, for instance, I'm more relaxed with Spetsnaz. With other people, there's a different side of me that I don't get to express, which is good. But with Paul, it just seems like he'd just be a lot of fun, and you could talk about everything, and you wouldn't have to necessarily think about being kind of respectful to his personality. Not that I wouldn't be, but yeah, that guy just seemed like, yeah, he was the best. So anyway. Scoon2173 sounds like a mature INFJ. Who, Paul or me? Karen says you have a nice warm voice. I think it's the microphone. And also I just woke up, so I've got a bit of a rasp. I haven't really talked much today, or at all. You guys are the first ones I talk to on my streams after I get up. You have any suggestions for married men with kids? Not much. If you're happy and you got kids. Depends on the situation, I suppose. If you're not in a happy marriage and you've got kids, you love your kids, but you don't love your wife. That's a hard one. Hopefully, for anyone deciding to separate and you've got kids, which I don't recommend because you've got to be responsible for your kids if you can help it. But if the parents are hating each other and exposing the kids to it, hopefully you can be as amicable as possible. Some dude, a human. What made you go your own way? I'm brand new to your channel and love it. Thanks. Everyone has similar reasons, I think. Mostly it's centered around failed romantic relationships. Even though I like to talk around it because there's underpinning things related to that, but that's men's biggest Achilles heel and biggest blind spot and biggest bear trap, because you're told one thing and the way it works is another way. So with me, it was successive failed relationships and feeling more and more in control of all other aspects of life that are important: family, friends, what I want to do, my direction in life. Even if I'm not quite sure things made sense, but with romantic relationships, they never did. And so it was that interrelationship between me and women in my romantic relationships, and the absolute opposite message that was being sold to men, to women, society, to sell things like Valentine's Day. Everything felt like slowly you started to see like a lot of this is a lie. A lot of it is to make me do the opposite of what it really is, so people can make money and profit, whether it's the woman directly in my life or commercial society through Valentine's Day, or lawyers through divorces. So just the whole thing didn't make sense. The purity of it seemed like a lie. And in understanding that was the last thing, and it wasn't a small thing, the last big thing to work out. It's like taking the sun for granted, and it's always betraying you. And it's the last thing you finally see in reality, but it's a big thing in life. It basically causes all of life. In terms of figuratively speaking, in terms of a guy, it's all well and good to get stoic about it, but unless you can take those things and have the courage enough to speak them in real life and implement them, then they start to work out. So it's one thing to finally sort of be exposed to the MGTOW community and realize these ideas, and perhaps, and I hope, write them down and reflect on them. But then when you go out there with friends, family, and in your social life, you talk about them openly. Again, talk about Paul. Like, that guy talked about this stuff when it came up, I'm pretty sure openly. Even his friends that gave him a tribute didn't want to mention his MGTOW side because they wanted to talk about, his general sort of social life and the music side and everything like that, which kind of I get. It irked me a bit because this side was still important to him. This is where a lot of his, I wouldn't say struggles, but a lot of the stuff he was thinking about resided to. And fine, he hadn't made videos in a couple of years. You could argue that, oh well, he left it behind. I would disagree. I'd say that he had gone his own way, and so he wasn't as involved as he usually was. The fact that he kept his channel up, because if you've really gone your own way, guys just delete their channel. They move to a different part of life. They might have found new friends, a new life. They might have even found a woman, who knows. But he left the channel up. He still dropped in to talk to us guys on chats like he was on a week before he passed. He'd send messages. I'd send messages to him. Not many through the years, one or two. but he was always active. So this stuff was still important to him. He still found interest in it. So I was a bit annoyed that they want to kind of sweep it under the carpet as though it was PORN, which is ridiculous because this was something he cared about too. So that was the only small thing that irked me when I looked at tributes. But yeah, please don't go onto his tribute pages and stuff and get angry at that aspect. Like he wanted to keep this private for himself, and he shared it with us guys, and he understood as we all do, many of us, that there are a lot of people in our lives that just wouldn't understand. And it's all well and good for people, I've mentioned this before, when they say, well, you should be honest about it. But because it's personal, it means something to you. And you know, there's people that they're going to talk about in a way that you just don't want to. It's like taking your child somewhere where you know they're going to make fun of it. You'd rather just not take your child rather than fight the world. Oh, okay. Frank's BMW Motorcycle Touring and Adventure says, this is interesting. I never knew this. If this is true, I've no reason not to trust you, Frank, because you ride motorcycles. And you guys are all usually straight up. He says, Australian toilets don't flush backwards because of the Coriolis effect. This is what I thought. The real cause of backward flushing toilets is just that the water jets point in the opposite direction. Is this true, or are you pulling my leg? But if it is, why the hell do they do it in the opposite direction? I understand that America does a lot of stuff differently, and they always have, and it annoys the rest of the world. But why would we specifically put the jets in the opposite direction? I don't understand. Sage's Apprentice, thank you for the super chat. I appreciate it. Paul Proteus's video, he says, Paul Proteus's videos were clear and succinct. Listening to him was like listening to a wise uncle who diffuses tension with comedy. Yeah. And it was just like really measured. He did stand up too. That's the other thing. He did a lot in his life. This guy was great. So what you see in his videos, man, he sort of played with that in other aspects of life. Busking, music. He was on stage a lot. When I listened and read some of his tributes, one thing that came across was they said that he felt at home on stage. So whether it was doing stand-up, whether it was playing his music, whether it was in front of people talking, he was always engaged with people. He always wanted to connect. So what you saw in the videos was a lot of that too. Man, I guarantee I'd never talk about a girlfriend passing like this, ever. And I haven't even met the guy. I haven't even slept with the guy. Haven't had kids with him. Red Talk says, never give a woman a piggyback ride. It's the woman dominating the man. This is the thing I noticed. Just to, reveal something about myself. I remember, this was in my 30s, I think. I think there was one girl that kept wanting me to take her into the bedroom in terms of a piggyback. She liked to jump on my back, but I didn't like it. I like throwing her over my shoulder and carrying her to my bedroom like a caveman. So yeah, there was just some instinct of like, nah, don't piggyback me. I'm not like this isn't like a kid's ride. And so I'd rather do it the other way by throwing her over my shoulder. But yeah, maybe there's something in that. I'd agree with that. And on the same token, I remember one ex that we really didn't get along. When I tried to throw over my shoulder, she got really upset and she asked me to put her down. It tells you a bit. All these little things, paying attention to them, paying attention to who you are, what's fun for you, what's lighthearted, what's serious, what messages aren't lighthearted and actually are serious for you, but for them, they're joking and they get annoyed. There's some of the things that People need to be in line with what your sense of humor is, when you find things serious, when you don't take life seriously, and when you do, and what the important values of life are. We can laugh about things like this, but a lot of them play into, because where you have humor is important. You can't just laugh at everything, and a girlfriend will say, well, oh, that's stupid that you like to do this in the bedroom, or you like to throw me over your shoulder, or you find this funny, I find that offensive. You have to have those things in line. Deported souls, the weather sounds great. It's cold and dark here in Sweden right now. I'll swap you, man. Or woman. You can have this heat. Give me the cold. My favorite season is winter. My second favorite is like spring and autumn. Probably autumn if I had to choose, because you can still get the sun of spring without all the freaking bugs and hay fever of spring. But yeah, winter first, summer last. I'm in a great country for it, aren't I? Edson says, could you elaborate on freedom from, freedom to? I watched the video and thought it was profound, especially the first part about change. Yeah, that was a great one. It's probably my favorite. His video on change is good too. Freedom from, freedom to. It's basically, he talks about there are a lot of guys, and I agree, even now, they're stuck from there's that liberating moment when you take the crimson colored PILL. See, this is stupid how I have to hopscotch around words. But you know what I mean, when you take the Matrix pill. And they feel free. They're out of Shawshank. They can do anything they want. Finally, they've cut it loose. And now what do? They've got no freedom to, as in anywhere to go. And that's a really succinct way that Paul put it. And it was a great way to remember it in that alliterative way. The freedom from, freedom to. So it's basically, a lot of guys stuck in the freedom from. They want to get free from something, but then they have no idea and they're lost when they have to go somewhere where they have to live freely. They don't know how to live freely. They know they want to be free. They know they're in bondage where they are. But he talked about how many guys aren't addressing going towards somewhere, the going of going your own way. And I've talked about this a lot of ways, but Paul really made you remember it in that alliterative or alliterative, I don't know how you want to say it, way. It was freedom from, freedom to. It's a really great way to remember that idea. EOS says, isn't it ironic how seemingly innocuous things such as women enjoying horse riding can denote red flags? Yeah. It's been my experience, like the women who are into horses, or daddy bought them a horse, or they had a horse when they were young, throw the daddy factor into it as well. Yeah, I've just seen the metaphor as like a little girl wanting a big, strong animal to direct in life and protect her and feel like she's safe from the world, and all those kind of metaphors. So, look, not all, but most that I've seen, and guys I've read, guys I've talked to, they reflect the same observation. This is Oakley Dokley says, I saw your video this morning about Paul. I watched his dog videos playlist. Never heard of him before, but I wished I did now that he's gone. This is the sad thing. A lot of guys will now discover him for the first time. I mean, not to say that he was ever going to produce another video. But, yeah. I'd like more people to sort of discover and see him and his videos to start, but at the same time, I wish they weren't monetized because I don't know where the money's going. If they're going to his family and people he cared about, fine. That's great. Mingtia thread. No, I don't have body armor. Sam says, Human, are you well traveled and do you think it's narrow minded to not explore different cultures and countries? No. I'm not well traveled. I started traveling more in my later life. I went to Nepal and Bangkok a couple of years ago and I really enjoyed it with an ex-girlfriend. She was really into traveling. She traveled 2 to 3 times a year. It was most of our problem. She wanted a guy who was, bitten by the bug. That my sole and only purpose in life is to travel and be out and about all the time. That's not me. I'm more of a homebody that likes going out to cafes, friends, going for a drive, hanging out, taking photos. And if I do go on a holiday, they're sort of to simple places. I don't like going to big cities like New York. I'd rather go to remote areas or somewhere quiet, small places. Put it this way, my favorite meal of the day is if I were to go out, is for breakfast. Going to get eggs, really relaxed. I'm a relaxed kind of guy. I'm not dress up in a tuxedo and go somewhere for an expensive dinner with champagne. That formality's not me. And look, yeah, okay, every once in a while for somebody else that you care about, fine. Like, I don't like going to weddings, but a wedding for somebody I care about, I'm happy for them and I want to go. So you kind of get my drift. Yeah, I've said before, I only recently looked up my MBTI personality test. I don't actually hold much credence to them. But if you must know, I'm INFJ-A. That's my personality type. But I don't think that if you haven't explored countries, you're narrow-minded, because my ex was an obsessive traveler, and I thought she was very narrow-minded. She only saw things her way. I've always said, no matter where you go, you always take yourself. Like, you're always there, no matter where you go. So if you're an a-hole here, it doesn't mean if you go somewhere else and take Instagram photos and say, hashtag with the villagers, that you're somehow an empathetic person. I've talked to, in fact, I'd say the opposite. And I'm not saying you've got people who travel the world who are self-interested in, people and philosophy and how we communicate and introspection and the meaning of life and things like that. There are people that do that. My brother-in-law, for one, he's been around the world and he's very interested in that stuff. But most of the people that travel the world, they're kind of Instagram kind of people that if they didn't have social media to show photos of and to tell you about it, I don't think most people would travel. They're social travelers, or even if they go to rural countries, yeah, they're having a good time, but they're doing it socially so they can share it on social media and be part of the world. They're not going there for personal satisfaction. They're going there for a personal, quasi-social satisfaction to share with the world, if that makes sense. But yeah, I found the most broad-minded, introspective, philosophical people are the most simple people who've never left where they are, maybe. And I'm not saying they're the only ones, but I've, people who are just garbage collectors, people who have lived just in one little apartment all their lives, but, they might have read, they talk to people, they're interested in life. Whereas you've got other people, all they're interested in is traveling and, oh my God, did you hear what happened in politics? And did you, this person changed their gender? And it's like, who cares, man? I don't really care. Yeah, I just heard about Larry King as well. Black Sigma says, rest in peace to brother Paul Proteus. And all those lost in the struggle, rest in peace to Larry King as well. Salute. Yep. Human, have you considered consultancy, or will you stick to the philosopher role? Probably stick to this role. I don't know. I don't even know if I have an interest. I have an interest in conversation with other people who are sort of looking to either they're interested in their own lives, they enjoy these topics, but I don't know how I do well with a person who's kind of stubborn. And for instance, imagine you're a therapist, and you get some bimbo paying you. Again, I suppose I can deny them and say, no, I'm not for you, find somebody else. But having to deal with so many different personalities that might grate you, and also I think I've got a fair bit of empathy, so it would over time probably affect me to the degree where I would regret getting into it. Whereas now I can kind of pick and choose how and what I want to say, and I can interact with the people that are more amenable to being open, even if they're not exactly like me. But being forced to deal with an a-hole because they're paying me and have to bite my lip where I want to kick them out and I don't want to have anything to do with them. You could say, oh, everyone needs help. I don't think everyone deserves help, quite frankly. There are, as I said in my videos, I could think of a lot of people that I'd rather not be here at the moment rather than Paul. I'd replace them with Paul. So, given what I just said, Hydrostatic human, do you think men are made more free as a result of advanced womanizing? Maybe, but I think also that we're forced to go into the world and tussle with a world that's dangerous and unsure, and there's a lot of questions about it, and we've got a lot of work a lot of things out, and in doing that, there is a freedom in that discovery and finding your place out there and what works for you and how you can survive autonomously, much more than women do. There's a lot more. I think it takes a lot more for a woman to take those steps, A, because there's a lack of innate interest, and two, there's no reason to. Especially the more beautiful a woman you are, why would you want to live in the woods if you're a Victoria's Secret model, supermodel, live in the woods with a dog and write, as an example. James Von Maxwell, greetings, man. How are you? James is another guy I really enjoy his videos. He's really cool. Go watch his channel. Although I feel I don't know, James, how you put up with watching some of the women and things you make videos on. They would drive me nuts. They're entertaining because you're the one that has to suffer through them, but I'm listening to you. I'm not listening to them for the most part. It's similar to Base FCZ. He does reaction videos to just idiots. It's entertaining. I don't know how you do it. If I had blood pressure, it would go up. Go click on James Von Maxwell's channel. Give the hamster some subs. He's a really good guy. BG, what's the weird feelings of guilt and grief when you have a toxic relationship that didn't work, and my values of trust and integrity were questioned? Sounds like a lot of guys. I went through that the last couple of times. Probably all of them. Basically the betrayal. The toxic relationship and it didn't work, and my values and trust and integrity were questioned. Oh, yours were. Well, it's part of the push and pull. They want something that you either won't give or you think is stupid or not yet, or they won't give you time to sort of formulate your own opinion or do it when you want to, or if you think it's right or not. So basically, if you don't exist, if you're just a pet on a leash and you're a bad dog. Yeah, my ex questioned my trust, but I explained to her it was ridiculous for her to have my trust in that scenario because she was completely wrong. Or there were other scenarios where I didn't trust her with something yet, and she did nothing to alleviate my trust. So you could say as a person, look, like I've done everything I can, and I've actually done everything you want me to do to give you trust, and you still won't. Even say you do everything for, let's put a woman in this case. Say she has a problem with just pick anything, like some part of intimacy or meeting her family or something. Like she really kind of takes a long time for you to trust her. And she lets you know that, like, it takes me a while, or I need to come to the realization of wanting to trust you on my own. Most guys would say, okay, like, I will do my best, but I'll show you without any pressure on me, because I know I'm a good guy. You'll come to trust me because I'm that kind of, like, there's no pressure. But if you were to demand, no, I want to meet your kids, I want to meet your family, I want to sleep with you right away, I mean, it's stupid. So trust takes time. If someone's demanding you trust them with something that if you did it, there was no going back and you would suffer for the rest of your life, like getting them pregnant or moving to another stage of the relationship where you're not quite ready, because you need to be ready too. This is the thing that annoys me sometimes. It's a two-way street. And a lot of women think that they run the show. You know, it's a two-way dance, but they think they're just dragging you along. That you're a dog on the leash that just needs to be pulled and go the direction they want, and they're annoyed that you won't roll over, sit, stay, and go when you're supposed to. So in terms of integrity and things, that I think the other person needs to earn trust and maintain what they maintain. And if someone demands things that need to be earned or related to in a relationship in a way that it is free and giving, rather than, no, you must give it to me. Now, I demand food on the table, you say to your woman. If you act a certain way, you're going to get a certain thing in your relationship. But if you're a kind, giving guy that doesn't push, and the other person's the opposite, they keep pushing, they keep demanding, they've got their own neurotic sort of problems that they won't deal with. But, to them, they're saying, well, you've got to deal with it. That's part of me. There's nothing I can do about it. Oh, so I can be mature and I can be the stoic person that's kind of, I can deal with the rough things. I can put the weight of the shoulder on my back. I can understand you. I have to forego myself, but I can understand your problems, but you can't understand mine. You won't understand my boundaries, my concerns, but I have to understand yours. Nah, get lost. Richard says, when is your discussion with Spetsnaz coming out? Me and Spetsnaz have really long conversations, and I'm trying to sort of take out snippets because it takes me ages to just go through it. And because in between we might talk about things that are personal that, might not be suitable for YouTube, things like that. But just like the last one, I think I might try taking out snippets where we talk about a really, really interesting topic for 10 or 15 minutes and we stay on that. I think that's valuable, and then bring those out more frequently rather than like a 3-hour rambling conversation that I bring out every like three times a year. I know there's some of you guys just love listening to like a 2 or 3 hour conversation, but the thing is as well, and I enjoy those too, but what happens is I've listened to long conversations with people, and there might be good bits, and then sometimes you think, for instance, I heard these two guys talking about this. Which video was it where they talked about, hypergamy? It was really good. They said it so succinctly and so clearly, and you don't know where, because the video's just a general one, or it's got a general topic. So in that way, I think it's helpful for people later on that If I can, because they take much longer. They take longer to produce than my regular videos. Because my regular videos, I'm just doing it. I'm editing it, and I kind of plan my videos out from script to shooting to editing them in a kind of linear ABCD bang 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 fashion to the finish line. Whereas the conversations, I like to kind of, because they're not as visual, a lot of guys don't show their faces. I want to kind of give it even more respect and make sure I edit out any things that make the other person look bad, or any personal details I don't want to get out, and really keep the conversations tight. Whereas mine, I can keep loose. People like the free-flowing nature of mine. So yeah, I'll bring them out, and I want to continue to do conversations with interesting people. And Spetsnaz is probably one of the easiest people I get along with. And so it's really easy to have a chat with him, but our conversations are so long, and I can't bring it. I can't just dump the whole thing on. It just kind of doesn't work in terms of the kind of videos I produce. Red Pill Addict 36. Hello. Same dude. Human, what helps you stay away from PUSSY plantation? Best. I try to go my own way, but sometimes the craving is real. It's just a way of you disciplining your craving. In a lot of ways, it's the will and discipline you'd give to diet too. You know, you want to eat donuts, the boys are around. It's so fun, and we're all eating junk food, burgers and pizza. But you have to be the one. If you're on a diet, you have to say, well, fellas, I'm only ordering a vegetarian pizza, or I'm only having 2 slices, or I'm not drinking beer, or you need to do that. That same kind of impulse and like, nah, I just want to. It's how well you can discipline and hold yourself back. Deferral of gratification. It's how much you can do that. James Von Maxwell, I need to get more hobbies. I think this is in relation to someone saying they see James everywhere. James should be more places, actually, because he's got such a great voice. James is in Denver. Why do I think you're up north? Or my geography is really bad. Is Denver more up north? Is that sort of closer to Canada? Or is it mid-US? I can't be bothered looking at a map at the moment. Sorry, guys. Jonathan, how did Paul pass? No idea, but I think it was sudden. I don't want to make any speculations, but I think it was something, either a heart attack or an aneurysm, because it seemed like it was sudden. They found him in his apartment, so don't think the worst. He seemed like a much more resilient mental personality, but yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if it was just something out of the blue, chance, like brain or heart. I don't know, but I'm speculating. I have no idea. Let's go down the questions, guys. Mr. Highway. Ooh, I won't say just jumped, even though it did. Where's the question? Come on. Ah, there we go. Mr. Highway, do you think that in the future video will be the difference medium used to study people and ideas instead of books, rather than reading an ancient philosopher's book? People might study vids like Paul's. Yeah, that's actually a good point. I think you're right, man. It's the predominant way we're communicating, whereas in the past it was books. And before that, it was like some wise man with a scroll standing in front of everyone speaking, because they had the material was limited. People couldn't afford paper. So I think you're right. I think video is going to be the way. And if they start limiting the books or the videos that they sort of show, and the language with which you can actually speak in videos, I don't think it's going to be an accurate representation of them looking back on this time. Because if I'm editing my words just so I can communicate with you guys, although that's, I'm changing like 2% of the language, they might actually think that I'm being completely honest in the way I'm expressing everything. But I think you're right, though. Raymond, Paul was pretty young. Did he have health issues? Not that I know of. I mean, he smoked and drank, but it was something that happened all of a sudden from what I see. But I'm sure it'll come out. I don't know. Alan, I'm in my mid-20s making 6 figures as a software engineer, but I don't attract women. In your opinion, what's something I should focus on? Keep doing what you're doing, man. This is the thing. In your mid-20s, women are so... even if you've got 6 figures, they still think they can do better, or they don't want to settle down because they think... you'll be there in their 30s. But the thing is, in your 30s, guys' focus goes away from women and it goes to the world, and it goes to, oh, look at everything I've created in my life, look at what I have, I don't want to take backward steps now. The thing is, in their 20s, guys are taking forward steps, and they'd like to do it with a woman. You get into your 30s, you're not taking as many steps anymore. You know where you reside, and so now you're very critical of who you let into your life. You don't want to take, you know who you are more. So this is the thing, women are awful chess players in life. They think men will be there. Men are all, men want women in their 40s and 50s, yeah, to bang, but not to marry. Yeah, guys want to be with hot single mums. Sure, I don't disagree. I mean, part of the argument with like one of my more popular videos, the women are expired lottery tickets, is I'm not saying that men don't want to sleep with older women. I've been out with older women, not much older, but like a good-looking woman, and if she's intelligent, she's good-looking, and you want to sleep with her. But I'm talking about who you want to actually have as a girlfriend and introduce to your parents, and if you're so inclined, move in, or you guys who are interested in marriage and having children. Like, you're not gonna. I've said it before. Like a woman who's in her mid-30s or 40s or 50s, it's kind of like that white picket fence babies kind of path. That's got to do with fertility and life, and still growing yourselves together and your life externally. But when you've kind of come to the point where you know yourself, there's less growth in you, you know yourself more, you want companionship that matches you. You don't want to build a different life anymore. You know what life is. And those are some of the things, unfortunately, because women aren't as philosophically or intellectually inclined, but only because on average, if you look at the big five personality traits, women score lower on average, not in the middle of the bell curve. On average, in the middle of the bell curve, men and women are fairly similar. But when you start getting into the extremes, like when you start getting into the people who are interested in philosophy and intellectual discussions and things like that, there's much more men there. So on the bell curve relating to intelligence, men score much higher. And so those are the guys in their 30s, 40s, you're a software engineer, you're making a lot of money. Those kind of guys, they're going to have really high standards. And it's not them being cruel, it's because they're very, very clear about things. They're the kind of guy you should have married in your 20s, because they would have really taken care of what they've invested in, their family. So, oh well. Look, men have been telling this to women since time immemorial. Women just don't want to listen because in their 20s they want to be free and single. Okay, you can be. But you can be free and single later too. The difference is whether you want to or not. You want to be free and single in your 20s. Yeah, Hamster says it as well. Make lots of money investing, don't waste time on the girls, man. Yeah. Human has great teeth. Nah, I've actually got problems. It's all an illusion. I've got a lot of fillings. My brother's got great teeth. He's got movie star teeth. They're okay. Cosmetically, they're okay. But out of all of my family, I've had the most fillings and most problems. I've also played a lot of sport where I've gotten hit. A lot of trauma to my teeth and, ruptured sort of nerves and things like that. So a lot of it was my own doing too. Mark Sophia, have you ever tried contact lenses or always preferred glasses? I only have glasses for reading. But I think my eyesight's getting worse, so I probably need to start wearing glasses everywhere in the coming decade. So, age. We weren't meant to live this long. Our eyesight's meant to deteriorate in our 40s. We used to die earlier. That's a funny thing if you think about it. Most people don't realize that the invention of spectacles and eyeglasses helped civilization go forward, because before then, if you were, say, a Socrates, you had all his knowledge and you read and you wrote, your eyesight would deteriorate in your late 30s and early 40s, and then you actually couldn't do any more work. You couldn't further your work. So the invention of eyeglasses, which I think was early last century, if I'm not mistaken, that helped further knowledge. So you could put glasses on and then you could continue to work for another 30 years, which is a big thing. People underestimate how much eyeglasses helped men further and advance society, because at one point when you couldn't see, you couldn't further your work, you couldn't pass on your knowledge. Interesting to think about. Yeah, James said, so my grandma went that way, went to sleep, never got up. Best way, I think. Yeah, my father, that's what happened to him too. Went to sleep peacefully and passed away in his sleep. If you have to go, I suppose that's the best way to go. It's not nice for those of us left behind, but for them, best way to go. Let's some of my answers are long-winded. Apologies, guys. JD, what lessons from Paul do you think all men should glean? In my opinion, it was his essay, going approachable and life-loving, easy attitude. He understood women, but was at peace and lived his life. I agree. I like his change video about not arguing with feminists and how people argue about what's in my bag. I think that was my favorite of his. But I also like the freedom from freedom to in general. I liked his demeanor in that one, but as a lesson, I think I liked his paper bag one. I think I remember it. It starts with, "I got a bag around here." Human, when talking to women, girls, do you also translate their words into your own, understanding them better? I cannot take women seriously anymore. How about you guys? Yeah, they've always kind of said don't listen to what women say, listen to what they do. But when they say things, you need to understanding women's nature, and if you've had more and more experience with talking to people in general and as women, you start to kind of see the difference between how they hear things and how they interpret it as opposed to you and other guys. So it's just being exposed to, not just learning a lot of this sort of stuff from experience with women, but learning why it didn't work in terms of differences of interpretation. And then next time you hear it, it's kind of, you say, okay, I get it. And you can also, don't be afraid to kind of confirm it through the woman you're speaking to. Say, so do you mean A, B, and C? And then they'll let you know. Whereas there's a lot of things unsaid between men and women, and it's dangerous because we interpret things very differently. So if we're leaving a lot of things unsaid, we're not saying what we think, we're not confirming that we're both understanding things the same way, we could be going off in different directions while we're together with each other. Happened to me a lot, happens to a lot of guys. Mr. Highway, thanks for the super chat, man. Usually, he says, usually guys as accomplished and outgoing as him would scoff at our philosophy. I'm shocked it found him and resonated. It shows anyone can actualize. I think it's also, he kind of, because he was such a real guy, he was open and honest and annoyed at the falsity of, like we mentioned about the messages. The marketing says this, women want this, and then when you get with them, you give them what they want, they don't want it. They say they want this, but then they don't want it. So it's the falsity. And the heart of Paul, that's why I liked him as an honest guy. He was frustrated at the dishonesty. So in a way, I can understand the social aspect. It's surprising, but also he loved video games. And in that environment, it was a way for him to be honest there too and let it out when he discovered, say, the manosphere and the MGTOW corner. So it does and doesn't surprise me. I'm impressed at how social he was, but he also had the balance of an sort of like a geeky, introverted game player. So he had that great balance. Like he just sort of swam in both areas effortlessly, and he wasn't fake as though he was really an introvert and he put on a different mask in society. It sounded like he was just himself across the board, and I just put it down to courage. That guy was one of the most courageous people in terms of not giving an F, but in the most polite and friendly and warm way, and he was just himself everywhere. He didn't care whether he was sitting alone behind the computer smoking and talking to us guys and doing that little thing, or he was out on the street with his saxophone. Just a real good inspiring person. Yeah, hit that like button, guys. Hamster says, human, the good part about being not as hairy is you don't have to worry about the CVID hair. What's that? I'm not that hairless. I've got a fair bit of hair. I grow hair fairly easily. I have to kind of like if I was to clean shave, I'd get to this in 4 days, I'd say. I shave my head with clippers at 0 every no more than 2 days. So every day to every 2 days. So I grow hair fairly quickly. Not as lucky as some. I've got a good friend of mine. He doesn't. He barely shaves. He barely grows any hair. Yeah, everyone's different. Yeah, Edson says, I also think there should be more focus on the going part, where, why, how, and so on. I mean, this is what I'm trying to do in my videos, where I'm exploring how. I always think how is the most important question. Well, it's easy to point at what, you know, women, the world, yeah, okay, you point at what. Now, how you navigate your how through that, how you think, how you interact, how you speak with people, how you speak with yourself. If you don't care about your hows, the world will give you the hows. The world will give you your whats and your philosophies and everything. If you don't push back in the manner that you care enough about your life that you want to have as much control as you can. I know we have very limited free will, but I think the whole point of this part of the manosphere and MGTOW is the freedom aspect. And now that you have it, the liberating, you know, head above water, breathing openly aspect of, I can do anything I want. I can swim in any direction. I can say what I want. I can live the way I want. I can get up and I can go to sleep when I want. No one tells me what to do. And I want to get along with good people. It's that going, the how you want to live, how you want to speak, how you want to think, how you want to do things. Not just the idea of it, just like don't, like, like I don't want to put guys down, but it's kind of like I see women, they want to get fit and lose weight. And I see a lot of guys want to be free, but when they've got it, and I know sometimes psychologically it's hard, but if you want to sit in a space where you get fed your freedom, and there's nothing wrong with playing video games, I play them too. But if you're not interested enough in filling up that free space with something you want to do or routines that you want to do, the world's going to fill up your free space. Nature hates a vacuum. If you're free, nature will fill it up. If you don't, women will fill it up. They're part of nature. The world, advertising will fill it up. You need to find something to do, because if you sit around, you're going to feel worse and worse. So you need to fill up that vacuum. And it takes time. I'm not saying it's easy, but you have to remember why you wanted the freedom in the first place. Lucid Dream MGTOW, human, did you ever consider to go Buddhist monk when you were in Nepal for a couple of years? No. I respect them though. For some strange reason, Paul always reminded me of Curtis in the Blues Brothers, that wise older father figure. Lucid Dream MGTOW, human, is it true that TFM was captured or tamed? Huh? I heard, and haven't seen him on YouTube for a while. No idea. Funnily enough, I think TFM, Spetsnaz found out from TFM, or heard from TFM first about Paul's passing, and then Spetsnaz told me, and then TFM confirmed it with me. I haven't heard anything. I still think TFM's doing what he's doing. Okay, let me go down. Ryan, I vouch for the hamster. Check his videos out. I concur. Especially his beautiful voice. James, do me a favor. Can you do a short video? When you do one, do a really close proximity effect. Glass empty. Good day, human. I didn't know you were streaming. Now you do. Okay, okay. Am I in focus? Am I blown out? It's pretty sunny today. James. Hamster thinks it's raining women where I'm at. Yeah, let's get the like button. Smash the like button, fellas. All right, let's keep going. I've been sort of just scrolling down, trying to see if there's any questions. A couple of questions from last video by Why Me Not Me, from When a Man Only Values His Looks. He says, people today are far less intelligent and intellectual and haven't mastered the art of a proper conversation. People live in their little bubbles, going from dumb decision to dumb decision. Girls act spoilt and guys act as if girls deserve to be spoilt. It's painful. I agree. Chromatic sound from the recent video, Freedom Sinks and Why We Should Keep It Afloat. Freedom unexpressed isn't freedom at all. Yes, ties into what I was saying just before. If you don't express your freedom, it's not freedom. It's a sports car you never drive. It's oxygen you never breathe. It's very important. That's a good saying. Something to remember. Freedom not expressed isn't freedom at all. Yeah, it's just really weird. Just a few streams ago, Paul Proteus was on, and he commented a few times. It was good to see him. And then, yeah, he's not here anymore. Some of these guys you mentioned, have I ever seen or heard certain people? I haven't heard of them, so that's why I'm not answering some of those questions. It's not because I don't want to. I'll just be saying, don't know, never heard of him. I don't watch a lot of controversial political videos. I mainly watch a lot of philosophical, basically sort of videos that are somehow connected, even tangentially to sort of some of the topics I talk about, as well as, say, tech videos and things like that. Yeah, so the tech stuff I usually watch is cameras, lenses, microphones, and it's basically visual audio equipment. Lucid Dream MGTOW, do you share the same passion as Stardust for video games, or what is your opinion on them? I don't share the same passion. Stardust is he loves video games much more than me. I'd consider him more of a serious gamer. I'm a tourist. There are games every now and then that really blow my mind. First of all, I always got motion sickness with FPS games, and it's still the same. It's just my biology. I can't. I want to. The last game that really I got addicted to, funnily enough, was 2 weeks ago. I played the game Inside. It's a side-scrolling adventure cinematic game, sort of like a platformish sort of game. And I really got addicted to that. I stayed up. I think I finished the whole thing in like 3 days. And the only time I've been addicted to a game before that was like about 15 years ago when I played the Tomb Raider series on PlayStation. So I'm not a big gamer, but when there's a game that specifically is an awesome game and it ticks all the boxes, yeah, I can get swept up in it. But I'm not a gamer per se, but I like video games. And I'll play a good one if I come across it. It's the same as a TV series, which is why I don't watch a whole lot of them, because if there's a good one, it becomes a time sink. I'll start binging. You know, I have to watch the whole thing if it's good. So I purposely stay away from them. Yeah, someone's calling me. I'll have to call them back. Yeah, if someone actually just drops in, guys, if I have to just bail, you'll know it's because someone just came to my place and knocked on the door. So, don't mean to be rude. So far, it's never happened. So, there's always a first. So hopefully, whoever rang isn't about to drop over. Thanks for the super chat. It's a beautiful war. I appreciate the donation. Nothing says TFM got hit with strikes. His channel is just reviews now, BitChute, or you can get some TFM through Halsey News Network. I think that's been the way for a while, hasn't it? TFM's just been putting reviews or using YouTube to point them to where he wants people to go. Lucid Dream mixed out human. Who was more intelligent, Socrates, Lao Tzu, or Nietzsche? Ooh, they're good in different ways, man. Like I'd see them as completely different ways of approaching ideas. I don't know. It's like trying to choose between your favorite children, Socrates, Lao Tzu, Nietzsche. I have a soft spot for Nietzsche because he's a misunderstood loner kind of person. Yeah, they're all different. They're all very different. I couldn't choose. Sorry, man. I respect all of them. I'm such a woman. I choose everything. Alright, if I have to choose one, let's be a guy. Only because I've read more of them, Nietzsche. That's the only reason. But that's not a value statement on objectively who'd actually be better or more intelligent. Another question. Sam S. on the video, freedom sinks, keep it afloat. The most important thing my mentor had ever told me was the natural path of anything in life is decay. You have to work hard to get something. You have to work harder to keep it. Yes, although, look, there's a limit to how hard I'll work on a relationship where I'm doing the vast majority. If I'm putting in almost 100%, the person barely wants to give me, 5, and I should be grateful for the 5, look, then it's no. Like I said before, if I'm with a woman who respects me, who doesn't throw spanners in the works of my life, and I get along with like a friend, I'm happy with giving more than 50%. Most of the time, in fact, I don't mind because I don't require a lot. But the small things I require in my life, those, and I'm not just talking about things that you should both give each other, like respect or even between friends. But I know that women tend to require a bit more in relationships. I've no problem in giving a little bit more. But when you're giving like in excess of 90% all the time, and you should be made to feel grateful when they're giving you 1, no. I've heard some women say to me, well, you'll never get a girlfriend that way, human, if you don't give that much, if you're not romantic. Lucid Dream MGTOW, what if a 30-year-old guy or girl knocks on your door saying he or she is yours, a result of a drunk party? Oh, as in you've got a child? Oh, well. You'd have to deal with it. I suppose they're an adult now, so you don't have to pay child support. I don't know. Remember, if it's an actual question, highlight your questions with emojis, guys. See, I'm awful with names. Like, people I don't actually interact with regularly. There's so many people with emojis and names, and then people change their icons, names, emojis. I just can't keep track, and it's just a sieve for me. It takes me a while to be familiar with somebody. Prune Juice Power, giving, question mark, aren't they meant to complement you as a partner in the relationship? Yeah, but each person has to sort of give and take. Depends how much the person's doing the taking and whether you like the way they're taking it and how much they are. Because there's certain parts of any relationship, platonic or romantic, where you don't mind them taking a lot in a certain way, because to you it doesn't mean anything. It's like, yeah, take from that area. I don't care. I barely need that, or I don't need that part, so you can take most of it. It's like, if you've got a fruit tree in the backyard, you don't like apricots much, or you have one or two, but a person loves them and they just eat like 95% of them. You don't give a crap, because it's like, yeah, fine, take that from me. Doesn't bother me. Berg C from the video Stop Trying to Prove You're a Good Guy. He said, it's okay to be the good guy with other guys. Women are never with you because you're a good guy. This is important. I think there's something to this. He said, women are never with you because you're a good guy. She's with you for other reasons. If those reasons disappear, the fact that you're a good guy doesn't matter. I'd agree. Which is why, if you've got any chance of a relationship, if you want to have any with women, if you want any of it to work, given what we're talking about, how much you want to self-respect, and your limits, make sure you're always calibrated to being a friend with this person first, getting along with them, where you can freely be and say anything you want like a friend. And then if it gets to anything else, or if then you share things sort of romantically or intimately, all well and good. But a lot of people jump into the role as though it's a job. Like, I'm an engineer, so you get the job as an engineer and you act and dress like an engineer and you're on your best behavior. And there's a way to sort of be that professionally. People act as though they're in a professional relationship in the same way, if you know what I mean, instead of just kind of turning up to a relationship figuratively, in track pants and a t-shirt, and just being with a friend that you find sexually attractive. For a person that likes language, I really hate this lexical hopscotch of censorship. Yeah, how much is tomorrow's going to be 41 degrees Celsius. How much is that in Fahrenheit? And today I think is about 37. This is an interesting one. Ratha says, human, do you think freedom equals discipline? I absolutely do. the more discipline you can have in your life. And because remember, with discipline, you're actually thinking. You're not just being, oh, I'm just being free floating, I'm enjoying my freedom. If you're disciplining yourself in your freedom, you're controlling how you exact your time and energy in your freedom. So for instance, when you don't have freedom, you want to play your guitar, or you want to draw, or you want to write. Then when you get your freedom, you don't exercise the discipline to make the most of it and do what you always wanted to do. You get lazy. So I absolutely believe that. Freedom is discipline. Freedom is discipline. Well said. Am I out of focus? Oakley Doakley says around 108 degrees Fahrenheit, I believe. Bartha Prime says, how do you deal with friends and family who can't understand you don't wish to be in a relationship after the end of a 17-year marriage? Especially after that, they still can't understand why you don't want to be in a relationship. After the end of a 17-year marriage, no one seems to understand. I have zero desire for it. Man, if they can't understand why you don't want to experience marriage again after that, just ignore them. After a while, they get used to it. The people I loved in my life, my family, they stopped, and it was well-meaning. They wanted, when are you going to get married? Why don't you want to get married? Why don't you want to have children? After a while, they stopped asking, where they got kind of tired of it when they saw that I was good with it and I didn't want to fight them. So I would just, when they keep asking you, just say like, nah, I just don't want to. Just don't further the conversation. Give them a polite, short answer. Seem disinterested. And no matter how much they push, they said like, no, I don't want to talk about it. No, I'm over it. Like, I have no interest. Just give them no energy, no words, very few, polite, no thank you, not interested. And they'll get tired of asking. The more you engage and try and justify why, and you give the reasons, they're going to come back tomorrow and say, yeah, but why? It's like arguing with a woman about the pay gap. You can get in a 2-hour debate, and you might actually think you get through, and then tomorrow they'll start from zero and say, yeah, but the pay gap. Why aren't women paid enough? It's like, oh God, I'm just going to say, no, thank you, walk away. So if people aren't going to understand or respect your point of view, walk away. Or if you can't, if you're with family, offer very few words. Seem disinterested. Hey Joe212, hey human, can you talk a bit about gaslighting? Basically, yeah, gaslighting is when someone makes you judge your own reality. Like, if you know the sky is blue, and they keep in words and ways making you question, really, is the sky blue? That's gaslighting. They make you they make you mistrust your own natural judgment. Things that before, and everyone in general might actually believe him, but they kind of manipulate you into thinking the way they want you to think. So that's gaslighting. Pulling the wool over your eyes. Making, like, you believe certain things up until you met them, and for no good reason, this is the thing, for no really good reason, and it's not provable, they change your thinking for their own sake. It's kind of related to sophistry, but gaslighting kind of changes your behavior, and it usually comes from somebody you trust or intimately. People do it politically as well. Politicians gaslight a lot. Listen to the way they talk. Shadow Ghost, thank you very much for the super chat. That's very generous. I appreciate it. He says, I lost most of my freedom when I lost my delusion. All that is left is how I relate to reality. Yeah, and that's the hard thing. I really feel for, and I don't understand, guys. When you're struggling with it, you've got your freedom, you've got this empty space, and you don't have it's not self-respect, but you don't have the self-interest to even want to read or write or discover what you think about X, Y, and Z, and sort of organize your compass and orient yourself properly. It's like, I don't care about orienting myself. So I don't know what to do with those people. You need to light at least a little fire underneath yourself to find a direction. And it's not up to me. It seems avoidant, but it's not. But you need to be self-interested enough to do something with your freedom. And when there's nothing there, like you've made yourself so free, now there's an empty space. You need to start talking to yourself honestly and finding out what you were always interested in, why you wanted the freedom in the first place, and was it all a lie? And like, if it wasn't, start taking small steps in that direction. Whether they're places you always wanted to go, people, changing jobs, organizing your life, changing your diet, your health, your interests, watching movies you never got to watch, changing your car, living in a different place, contacting old friends again, just anything. Take a step. James, we should have a chat one day. Give me a buzz, man. Only if you're interested. Although I'm a little intimidated by your voice. Don't worry, I'll try and fake it through my my mixer, the compressor, and I'll talk really close. Feral male, last time friends asked me about my dating ambitions, I pointed out that the dating pool is now a seething cesspit. Yeah, just tell them what it's like. I think I mentioned this before. A little while ago, I remember my family members asked me like about sort of, am I being too picky? How's dating going? And I actually handed them my phone, and I logged on to one of the major sites I'm on. I said, go, have a look at the quality of women, search, have a look at women around my age, you know, expand the age, whatever. Have a look at the quality of looks and what they say. No kidding. I watched them and it was just, oh my God, are you serious? And I think about half an hour later, they just handed the phone back to me and they said, Christ. And I said, yeah, exactly. So the quality is not there. Creative Rami, any relation to Big Rami, who just won Olympia? Hello from Melbourne, Australia. I just want to thank you for your content, man. I wish I had the knowledge you, CRP, Paul Proteus, etc. shared when I was a young teenager. No problem, dude. What am I drinking? Look at that. Freaking awesome lens. Anyway. Probably get a strike for brand recognition or something. Who knows? It's stupid. David, thank you very much for this super chat, man. I appreciate it. He says, why do married people and single mothers tend to try to diminish me in conversation or act like I'm broken? Broken being that I'm that I'm a 38 to 39-year-old single male. It's them. It's their projection. If you're cool, don't forget, women see themselves as walking, talking, breathing cocaine. And when you're no longer addicted, or where you can kind of go by and go, oh, no thanks, or there's a buffet that everyone likes a certain type of food, and you walk by and you go, you don't even touch it. They think you're strange, and especially if they're the food. They're selling themselves in that way. I don't think men ever really sell themselves like that and wonder, why doesn't a woman like me? You've got the egotists, but I think in general, as human beings, I think men in general kind of know that things like trust need to be earned. They need to, which I don't think is right, that they need to earn the trust and affection of a woman and prove themselves in the world with what they do in their jobs with women. Women don't need to prove themselves. They're constantly told they're fantastic. And so when you don't want something that's fantastic like them, they kind of go, what's wrong with this weirdo? It's like, he doesn't want free money. That's the way they see it. Like, we don't get it. It's like, yeah, I know you don't get it because you can't empathize. You can only see things from your point of view. I had one comment. I was going to put it up, but I didn't bother. Not because I wanted to make fun of her, because women kind of often comment on my videos where they can't see it from a man's point of view, and the comments are often something like, I don't get it, so do you hate all women? Or I don't get it, so do you just want to be alone and not talk to any women? It's like, you guys aren't even trying to listen to the things we're trying to work out. You're not trying to look at it from our point of view. If I was talking about the same things in relation to childbirth, or in relation to some problem you specifically have had as a woman in your life, then you'd understand the philosophical underpinnings and the struggles that you might be challenged with. But because it's something that's solely got to do with the street of man to woman and woman to man, you're sweet with yours. It's fairly easy, and women generally are raised with the impression of they're rich kids, that they never have to worry about money. But from a man's point of view, we're born poor, where we have to worry about money. And I'm just talking about a concept. So they're the two different extremes. And so you got these rich women who never have to worry about money because they've always lived in a mansion with daddy. And they're looking at us, seemingly thinking we're on the same level, going, I don't get why you've got a problem with money. I don't. Or women, even if they're not good looking, they see themselves as gorgeous. They see themselves as tens, and they can't understand with guys like, I don't see what the problem is with getting dates and finding love. You guys are whining. It's like, yeah, from your ivory tower, it looks like that, but you don't have empathy. You can't place yourself in the shoes of somebody else, which annoys the crap out of me, because they can virtue signal and place themselves in the shoes of some starving kid in Africa and go, oh my God, can you just imagine what it's like for them? It's like, no, I can't, because you don't care about the people in your own neighborhood who are in your own life, but you want me to care about some starving kid or some whales that you want to save in the Antarctic. Infuriating. But somehow, they're the most feeling and caring. Yeah. Anyway, bit of a rant. Calm down, human. Hey, Desires. Yeah, we chatted on my Discord a little while ago. Yeah, for any of you guys who've got a microphone and want to chat, jump into my Discord, because there's always from time to time guys jump in there and have like a nice social chat. I try and jump in whenever I can, but bear in mind my time difference is often the opposite, so I'll try and jump in late at night or early in the morning. So yeah, feel free to sort of log into my Discord and jump into, there's 3 chat rooms there that are for the public. And if you've got a microphone, just make sure you set up your push to talk, and yeah, join in some conversations and chat to a few guys. Okay, more comments. No. Daniel R. On an older video, but I wanted to. This is relates to something I think I mentioned before about women tending to want more in relationships, wanting to be given more. In my video, All or Nothing Love, where I've never liked the idea of, no, I want all of you. It's like, you're not happy with 50%. Well, I might be able to give you 60% sometimes when I don't need anything, or 70. No, I want 100. I want all of you. It's like, then there's nothing left for me. Like, no, I want all of you. So anyway, he says, I cannot find a woman that has some kind of hobby or interests, and I end up being the project. This is an actually important thing. No thanks. No more of that. If you find a woman, it's kind of telling where she has not much to say. You feel like you're just watching TV. She's got the opinions of TV. But if someone's got their own really interesting opinions, it would stand to reason they've got an interest, even if it's reading, which seems fairly banal and innocuous. But if a woman has no hobbies or interests, which a lot of women out there don't, and, you know, shopping and gossip and crap, that's not an interest, watching TV. Unless you've got an interest in cinema and movies. But if a woman doesn't have a hobby or interest, you end up being the hobby on the project. And a project with women is usually like changing and where is this relationship going? So be wary of that. I'm not saying it's a final, you know, eject. But the more of this stuff you can see, you know, like horse chicks and girls without hobbies and women who don't like their fathers, things like that, the more you start seeing it all be part of the same woman, or you start seeing her react in certain ways and you think, yeah, and that other red flag before that, that makes sense. Pay attention to those, because those will tell you more about her character, especially at the start, because a lot of women just mirror you if they like you. They don't really reveal who they are till much later, and then much later could be really too late for you. Amy R. Oh, this is one of the comments I wanted to put up. Sorry, I did put it up. Stop trying to prove you're a good guy. She said, what is the end game? Is it to find contentment in living a life with minimal interaction with the opposite sex? So this is an example of a woman not being able to really empathize with the guy. And this isn't me being angry. This is just illustrating that my response was, the point I'm trying to make is for men to have self-respect. That's it. However you want to live, have self-respect that you're a human being and you expect fair cooperation. That tennis game, the way you enjoy your fair tennis game, hopefully with your good friends and family that you enjoy spending time with, where you're not walked all over. My point is about male self-respect. Whereas a woman sort of sees like, okay, what's the point? You know, do you dislike women? Do you not want to be with women? Like, no, you're not listening to anything I say. Do not look at it just from a woman's point of view. Try and listen to the words of men speaking who aren't being rude, if they're not being obnoxious, if they're just telling you their point of view, take them at their word and don't just try and interpret it in your head and going, yeah, but what do I think about that as a woman? No. Anyway. SD. I don't think this is Stardust, but SD anyway. Why most relationships don't even start. Although he's fairly eloquent. But no, I don't think this is Stardust. He says, great video with many comments. Rather than merely repeat them, I'd add that I suspect this lack of authenticity or forgiveness also contributes to why many men are completely blindsided by a breakup. One can think that things are going quite well in a long-term relationship because Mrs. Agreeable is not expressing her misgivings or grievances and then owing to circumstance, perhaps monkey branching due to hypergamy, one is caught completely off guard. Like most behavioral phenomena, the sundry of behaviors in a relationship are not reducible to singular or simple causes, and there are consequently many corollary discussions that branch from this, i.e. socialization of women to be superficially agreeable. I suspect that the basic points made in the videos are relevant to why me and many of my male friends can be blindsided and deterred from venturing back into the dating minefield. Certainly speaks like Stardust, but I don't want to presume. Look, yeah, a lot in this. Let me go through this because it's quite dense. I'd add that I suspect this lack of authenticity and forgiveness lack of authenticity or forthrightness also contributes to why many men are completely blindsided by a breakup. Yeah, a lot of guys aren't themselves and aren't honest with women, and women aren't too. So you're both faking it and getting into the most serious relationship in terms of possible consequences that you'll be in. So that's really troubling. If you're not honest and forthright, and neither is she, bad news. Continues, one can think that things are going quite well in a long-term relationship. Yeah, because you're both kind of being fake and on vacation with each other in your own personal lives. It's dangerous. Mrs. Agreeable is not expressing her misgivings, yep, or grievances, and neither are you, owing to circumstance, perhaps monkey branching. Yeah, she's looking for the better option. But also there's fears. One is caught completely off guard, yes. Put it this way, if you're faking it, and then the person breaks up or leaves, of course you're caught off guard, because I think if a person was being themselves, you'd see it coming, you'd be talking more, there'd be more openness. But whenever I hear of people breaking up out of nowhere, it's a lot of this. Both people aren't authentic, they're not forthright. Most behavioral phenomena, the sundry of behaviors in a relationship is not reducible to simple cause. Yeah, it's a stack-on effect of always acting, and then acting in different ways to buttress the previous acting. And okay, if you're acting like a nice guy, like I said, then okay, in this situation, what would a nice guy do? If she appreciates me acting like this because this is how I'm reading her, what would that guy that she appreciate me doing and saying? So you just keep stacking on lies and inauthenticity, and it just gets worse and worse until there's a breaking point. Or someone comes along that helps you break, and they monkey branch, or you leave, or there's an argument or whatever. And then he adds that there's corollary discussions, socialization, there's all these branching on things that come into the relationship. Women are superficially agreeable, their nature, your nature, what you want. But at the first point, if you don't actually start expressing honestly who you are, what you want, even questions that you're not quite sure about, if you just act like a fake safe person and they're acting like a fake safe person so you can have a fake safe life, not good, because then you start finding you'll want to spend more time in the real world, which is where your friends are and where your hobbies are, and you don't like living in that fake safe life of, you know, happy families and happy romantic relationships, because you don't reside there very much. You get tired of acting. A good comment, SD, and a lot of good points. Fairly dense. I'd suggest guys read this and mull over it a little bit. This is relevant to why me and my friends, many of my male friends and me, can be blindsided and deterred from venturing back in. Yeah, the more you're the more you come alive and find so-called religion in being real in life and being real with yourself, you can't go back and be a child anymore. It's kind of like, you know, once something's seen, it's unseen. Once you've found this religion of reality and having the courage to speak up and how good it feels, and it's like, I'm not going back to being asleep. I'm not going back to being plugged in. You can't, almost, even if you wanted to. All right. Ed, do you know a YouTuber called Alexander Grace? Yep. What do you think about his work? Some of it is interesting, but he still believes in high quality women, the mythical creature known as Nawalt. Smart guy. I generally like his channel. I don't like, I'm not a fan of the axis being women on the channel, but that's just me. But I have nothing against the guy. I like the guy, and he seems like he's fairly intelligent. But it's very female centric. That's the axis on which it rotates. But that's just a personal preference of mine. I like the guy. I like the channel. He's fairly switched on. Alex B, you should show your studio someday. The background looks pretty cool. Nah, all that's strategically placed. I just put up a lot of old postcards and pictures and stuff to kind of visually make this look good. I've got a background in design and whatever, so I kind of know how framing works. I mean, even all of this, where the text is placed over the microphone and just how I'm centered, color, all that kind of stuff. This isn't by accident. Even my black t-shirt. It's just kind of I'm a stickler for design, color, balance, and design and things like that. A little anally retentive, I think, but nothing very special about my studio. If you saw it, it wouldn't be that impressive. It's just a lot of clutter. I might one day. You've seen different angles. I've done videos like from that angle and so forth. So you've gotten to see different aspects of it, but I've never done like a tour. It's my most cluttered room in the house. Everything else is really bare. I barely have any pictures up. My house is all white walls. This room is the really, really starkly different one. It's just cluttered full of books and paper, and this is where I spend most of my time too. And because it's got a lot of books and paper and stuff, there's a lot of dead sound area zones, which is really good for the acoustics in this room, so you don't get a lot of echo. Yeah, Rami, there's a Discord as well, so feel free to jump on Discord. The links to my Discord is in my About section on my YouTube channel, I think. It might actually even be in the low bar too of each video. Mr. Smith says, hey human, what is your opinion on augmented hypergamy in the age of simulation? Coterie, hypergamy and hyperreality. Yeah, that was a good video from memory. I'm trying to remember exactly the main crux of. He was talking about was it the augmentation of social media and how its effects were on dating? I can't really talk much more about it because I can't remember. I need to rewatch that video of coteries. Do I have another? Dingo from Stop Trying to Prove You're a Good Guy. He says, many single mums' sons want to be seen as good guys because of that bad energy projection of their own mother. Yeah, if you've been told you're nothing, your dad was nothing, men are nothing, I can't find a good man. Oh, men. But women are always great. If you have a sister, she's always great, but they always look down on you. You're looked down. You're like the N-word in the family. You look down upon. So yeah, imagine that kind of imprinting growing up, and that's baked into you. That's something that doesn't go away. Like a lot of your personality is formed under the age of about between 6 and 8. You come out of the oven set in terms of structure. Sure, you can be socialized to a degree, but there's a lot of the reflexes where your friends find certain things easy socially that you don't, and you kind of get frustrated. A lot of that was how you're raised. There's a bit of biology and DNA in that too, but yeah, if you're a product of a single mum that always had a bad opinion of men, that's a hard thing to take when you're a grown-up guy, because you have irrational fear and insecurity about subjects and interactions with men and women and how you see yourself. He continues, such good guys, as an example, Ross from Friends, always makes me laugh, have a lack of interaction with people. Yeah, they always seem awkward, especially around women. They're a crumbling mess. They don't, this is important, they don't act, they react, no matter what the circumstances are. That kind of young, naive young men are gaslighted for life from the Western feminist world. Seems to me that's the new trend. In fact, is just lived hypergamy. Yeah, that People like that don't act, they react. That lack of self-confidence, told you're nothing, and you have to give almost permission in social circumstances. They talk first, then I react to them, so I can be part of the social conversation. Women tell me what they want and I react. I can never say what I want, be honest and forthright about what I want. It's always reacting to people, reacting to bosses, reacting to society. I'm never an actor. I'm a reactor. That's a very important point. All right, we're nearly at 2 hours. The last one was only an hour and a half. So any last questions, guys? Shoot them through. Make sure you highlight them, and let's wrap this up. And let's have a drink for Paul and his family and friends and the people he left behind. A great guy. Sam says, Human, what is your process of coming to live in Australia from America? I never came from America. I don't know where you got that. Can you tell by my lack of American accent? No, I was born and raised here in Australia. Sorry. I wonder what gave you the impression I was from America. Black Magic 1087 says, women act agreeable early on because they don't know what they want, but they definitely know what they don't want in a partner. Yeah, but they don't voice it, or they think that they can kind of reveal themselves and then dominate the relationship after, once they've got you. This is the thing, once a man is sold, once he's bought it, like in a way a man trusts other men, he's used to it, the trust meaning something, and then it doesn't change. He's locked into that mode. But with women, there's not many men socially that are going to act for a period of time to get something for you. Yeah, there are unscrupulous people, but generally, you as well aren't afraid to voice when you see red flags with male friends. It's like you'll tell them, "Hey, shut up. What do you mean by that?" Whereas a woman, you won't. You'll kind of be you'll have more of a chance to kind of reveal the truth. But if you're acting in that polite romantic way all the way through, that works more in her favor than yours. I'd say don't be politely romantic. Say everything you feel in a civil and kind way, but don't leave, warning signs and red flags in your head. Confirm them with a person. Black Magic says, women will delve into your world because it's like having a real-time placebo to confirm her likes and dislikes. Then she magically reveals her true desires, needs, and wants. The YOLO effect. Yeah, rest in peace, Paul. Richard. Paul Proteus passed away. For you, those of you who are asking who passed away, a link to his YouTube channel at the bottom of my recent video. Yeah, really good guy. He provided a lot of meaningful content. He's an old school MGTOW guy. Sam said, no, I mean, what's the process if you want to come to Australia? I don't know. With the laws and shutdowns and things like that, it's even harder. I have no idea, man. Sorry. I'd say it's similar to any Western country. There might be slight differences, but I think it's fairly similar. Okay, guys, if there's no more questions, let's wrap it up. It's been 2 hours. Yeah, rest in peace, Paul. It was a real shock. Real good guy. If anything, for me, it's a reminder of what we should be more like. You know, have a look at Paul in his videos. Like, I don't know him personally, but from what he showed, let's be more like him. He's a good standard. Great guy. Anyway, thanks, guys, for dropping in. And yeah, it was a good conversation. I'll see you in the next video. Take care.